Wow, yo, yippee, yay, guys. Part number 11, and I'm super excited to be with you guys today. As always, we're going to dive into the love of the community, then talk about what's happening with new earn vaults, talk about what's happening with SwissBorg Network, and of course, talk about some news. Yes, we're back into news, talking some macro perspective, talk about what is the crazy things that are happening in the blockchain space, in our economy, and of course, within this beautiful Web3 industry. As you guys know, my name is Cyrus Fazel. I'm the proud founder and CEO of SwissBorg, always here to serve you. Question of the week, and CH Steve B, Benji Borg, Danny Borg, great question from the community. What's going on with the partnership between SB and OCAM? I'm a bit worried because I saw Mark Berger as member of Galactica, new project Cyrus believes, and it presents to us during last pause. So what's going on there? Great questions, by the way, Steve B. And as you guys know, Mark himself is a great friend. He's been a Borger since 2017. He has been pushing SwissBorg in multiple different ways, a great friend and a great partner. He is as well the founder of OCAM and the founder as well of Galactica. And it's the perfect link. So really, Galactica, as you guys understood from last week, and we have more and more episodes regarding Galactica, which is L1 blockchain layer 1 that enables really to build a more sustainable and a more meaningful blockchain industry, but as well have a cipher state, have identity that enables people to really have a great experience with Web3 and build sustainable, essentially, relationships with all the great things that are based on Galactica, which is essentially how to be able to have, with zero knowledge proof, be able to be access to a lot of great things into DeFi, but into as well going forward into gaming and not reveal your identity, but still be KYC'd in a way that we know that, essentially you are permission to be allowed to do things and not do things. And I think so more important than what it is essentially is how to build a reputation on chain, which I think so we all agree on that. And OCAM, obviously, it's going to be one of the ways where people will be able to launch their projects through essentially this wonderful new layer 1 blockchain, Galactica. So OCAM is not going anywhere. Your tokens obviously is not being performing very well like everything in the blockchain market. But OCAM is there to stay and to be curating a lot of great projects, and there's be a lot of great things that will be done through OCAM and through Galactica together. Nick, thank you very much for the questions of last night too as well, Nick. Following USD incident, do we know the protect and choose pots includes USDC? So this was already communicated, I think so, on Sunday with Amin. It's like every day there's something happening. So it was converted all into CHF, into euros as well. So everything is good. It's in fiat and not on chain. So I hope that answers your question. Market updates, the cycles. And I think so this is very interesting because very often we try to know where we're heading. But before knowing where we're heading is where we're standing right now. And probably many of you, we talked about this multiple times. I believe even if the crisis is still going on, we are far away from a bear market. From my perspective, we're in a recovery market. And I know that macroeconomically, things doesn't look really good. But we'll see. I mean, what have happened, I think so just right today, if it's booming crazy, inflation is probably lower than we expected. Bitcoin is, and crypto in general, is really playing a safe haven role. As we often say, Bitcoin never plays a safe haven until it plays very well. And I think so this is something very important always to remind yourself. Same as the COVID. You remember when it dropped down and it was like, oh, Bitcoin is not a safe haven. It's not until it is. I think so this is something that's very interesting what's happening with the new banking term funding program. So the new QE that the Fed has put together, which is essentially a massive pile of cash for any banks that will eventually collapse. So it's a new form to say that a QE is somewhere coming in, quantitative easing. There's going to be more cash that's going to be pulling. If the inflation doesn't go higher, probably rates won't hike as much as we think, and that probably means that we'll have a change of regime. What I always just say is that you cannot have a bearish market over a year. Usually that's what's happened. And the Fed always tries to play its role until the market plays its role itself, right? It's a funny way to do that. It's a bit like children doing a little bit crazy stuff. The Fed wants to come in and change it all, and then eventually the children do their thing again, and things evolve. And it looks like cash is going to be printing, which is always a great news. And again, I think so the more important one is that more than backing Silicon Valley Bank and being able to any bank put it back into peace, I think so this is fundamental, is very important. Even if Silicon Valley Bank did a lot of stupid things by trading bonds and things that they didn't understand the liquidity crisis behind it, they didn't really understand this could be priced in different ways if you're going for long-term bonds. Anyways, there's a lot of different ways that these people have mismanaged, but people do realize that since 2007, 2008 crisis, if you don't back a bank, then there's going to be so many other cascades of problems, and no one wants to be responsible for that. There's no one who ever wants to be responsible for that. So all in all is printing more cash, which is going to weaken the dollar, is going to weaken the US eventually. I think so on the long run. It's just going to make this economic cycle very weird to some extent, but it's going to make more and more a great way for debanking, or at least getting into DeFi, getting in more into crypto, and probably having this dual market that competes and at the same time collaborates in a good way, right? What we have to understand as well, what happened last weekend about the USDC depegging, this was really a banking problem. And I still have strong trust into Circle, has strong trust as well into the fact that USDC is a stable coin with some risk. Like USDC is a stable coin with some risks. What we do have to understand is that eventually how that decentralized stablecoins maybe could be the answer for some, but we know that DAI, as good as it was, unfortunately suffered a massive depeg due to the fact that it had a lot of USDC behind it. So probably there'll be more decentralized stables going forward. I'm looking forward to this. But for sure, we know that the markets are rallying in a very, very crazy way, which is really good. That means there'll be a lot of volatility, good ways to trade. People like swing trading is really good as well. Being able to as well dollar cost average, obviously this is something that's being really, really good as well. And people have been in the whole risk team and the macro team at SwissBorg have calculated multiple different scenarios to see if we're in a bear market or not. And it looks like calculation that the probability is very, very short, where you see that the probability that was here showed that, 2016 was a big one. Then we saw obviously the 2018 one, 2019. This predictory market looks like it's been channeling very well in the past, which always does make sense, to be honest. Whenever you're doing any type of forecast, your model does predict extremely well the black swans in the past because you already have the data. However, it's always very hard to anticipate the future ones, but nevertheless, it shows that we're not in a bear market anymore, at least from the eyes of SwissBorg. And I think so, last but not least, we're seeing crypto adoption obviously growing, institutionals as well. There's some good news, there's some bad news, but let's dive into the news right now. Obviously, last week, one of the big news was the depeg of the SVB and the collapse of it. There's as well other different banks such as Signature Bank that has went, and Silvergate. The great thing is that SwissBorg was not touched by any of them. We had funds with Signature Bank, but they were withdrawn very, very long time ago because for different reasons we didn't feel that we were comfortable keeping our funds safe with them, which was obviously a great one. We saw as well the fact that USDC depegged. It went all the way down to 88 and got back to parity due to the fact that the Fed is helping out SVB. Obviously, the USDT peg was completely irrational to go to 88, which makes normal. I mean, which it is what it is. Because in general, what happens is people get over pessimistic or over enthusiastic in the crypto world, especially over weekends, right? What we know as well is that the US is taking quite a very strong stance of being quite against crypto, at least what looks like what politically agenda is happening with taking out the fiat gateways into the US, but not in Europe, and that's great news. And we're seeing more and more ways to actually profit from this, especially from the SwissBorg side. Talking about not a profit, Euler DeFi protocol was definitely one of the big attacks we did suffer. The good thing is that we were able to eventually retrieve most of our funds. However, some of our funds were lost into this hack. The good thing is that people that actually deposit into these funds have all been reimbursed. So mark to market, no one has lost any Ether or any USDT, which is really great. I want to precise that there was a safety net back in the days for Genesis Premium that we took off the safety nets. And for this special reason, we thought it was very important that everyone has essentially a safety net. And I think so this is something very, very important for everyone to, to really acknowledge that SwissBorg is really your trusted partner that's trying to back you even in the worst case scenarios. Community member of the week is just our friend Amin Lams. Amin is really a great person that I met in Paris during our roadshow in late December. Great thing that Amin as well is someone that's been pushing an influencer, is really a self-made entrepreneur, which I really admire. More than I admire him is that we actually had 2 shows. It was in French. One was actually last Sunday. It was really about the Series A. Last time was really more about the platform, about the app itself, and really hoping that Amin will grow his audience. And I think so this is something really good for people getting into crypto and speaking French, of course. So check him out, give him some love on Twitter, and yeah, show a bit the green eyes and the green hearts to him. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Next community events, and really apologies I didn't make it last Thursday. I was actually in Zug, but I heard that there's cool stuff happening in Fribourg, which is tomorrow. So that looks really forward to having in Fribourg our lovely crypto frill, having great events in Fribourg. It's always great to see this. Other things is happening is next week we're gonna have we're probably heading actually to Paris Blockchain Week a bit last minute, so I'll be going myself. And actually the team was very, 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 very nice of contacting me and saying like, well, we love you guys SwissBorg so much that you have to attend it, because last year we were a sponsor, this year we're not a sponsor, and they said that they would give us extra tickets if we make some noise. So the idea here is to run a contest on Twitter with using the hashtag, obviously, PBW2023, and obviously tagging at Paris Blockchain Week, at Web3X Paris as well. And the idea here is to make a picture of yourself, of or whatever you want, of CHSB, of Bitcoin, of Ether, anything that could be viral and has a connection to essentially Paris Blockchain Week. So what I just did is essentially this. So I'm going to be posting this, which essentially is me breakdancing on the top of the Louvre, because they're going to be cool stuff doing the Louvre. And hopefully this will get enough like. They haven't told us how much tickets they'll be offering us, but I know there's going to be a certain amount of tickets. She said a bundle. So let's see what a bundle means, but let's make some noise and try to get as much as tickets as want in order to, spend a good time in Paris, have go at the main stage and the main events, and as well, there's gonna be a lot of events on the side. So hopefully we'll see you guys in Paris. So please use again the hashtag PBW2023 at Paris Blockchain Week and Web3X Paris as well to be tagged. Product update. We're having 2 yields that's going to be actually happening. One is a very fantastic one. It's actually done by a burger itself. It's called BTC Block Green. It's going to be launching essentially Thursday. It's going to be up to 8% APY on Bitcoin itself. There's going to be a 0.05 BTC cap for Genesis. and 0.0335 for generation. Essentially, what block green is something very different. It's a way that you could tokenize essentially hash rates and be able to eventually yield on your Bitcoin. This is a really interesting project. More than that, it's not only you're participating in the mining, but you're able to essentially decentralize the power of mining and being able to mine in a green way. Sebastien S, which is the founder, very good friend of ours, will actually be on the powwow next week, and we'll be talking more into what is happening with block green and how this could be a very new way of essentially how to distribute a bit the mining power, how to bring hash rate and tokenize it, and how to provide a yield on Bitcoin on top of that. I think so. It's going to be a very cool one. Obviously, we're obviously very excited to see how this is going to happen and then how it's going to be sold out again. With that, if you have some Joes in the smart yield, well, then there's going to be up to 4.5% on the as APY with no lockup and no max. So if you have some Joe tokens, this is going directly on their platform. So there's this very small risk to this one. So if you like Joe, you know what to do. Series A, and you guys know it, is going on. 17 days left. I heard that we are now close to 14,000 people. Over 16 million Swiss franc have been invested. I want to thank you for that. And if you haven't taken place yet, please check it out and enjoy it, and more surprise will come. Let's talk about our lovely CHSB. We are obviously at over 40,000 premium members, which is great. 347, which is much better than last week. 149,223. Cast your vote to no one. It's the 150,000. We are not far from that. Should probably happen. Yeah, probably, I would say, in 2 weeks at max. But if we could do it in 1 week, it would be amazing. Which brings us to the community index. The DEX. Is the DEX going to score high? And it scored very well in volume. CHSB went quite well too. App activity, same thing. Social media, not as good because it did a lot of good noise, but you know, the week before it was just crazy. CHSB holders pretty much, but invitations lower. Well, it's quite sad because the market has been pumping, and these are the time where people get good experience. But I understand that sometimes people have to take a break. As always, guys, it's been a crazy few days between USDC, DPEG, banks going down, the market rallying, hacks, everything. But the good thing is that we're alive and we're thriving, and that's the most important, that we're protecting your assets and making sure that during these cold days, during these more tricky days, we are together better and and closer than ever. This last 2 days on Twitter, I mean, it was amazing. You know, yesterday was as well another great event for having this transparency and bringing what was happening to the community. And I just want to thank you. Nothing more. Just thank you for believing, building this dream together, sending all these positive vibes all the time through messages, Twitter, and all of that. You know, it's definitely tricky times that we're going through. But as always, you know, fortune go to the braves, and Borgers, we know that we're more than brave. We are SwissBorg. So as always, guys, be wealthy, be healthy, love our CHSB, and now our equity. Take care, guys. Bye.
Through SwissBorg, all assets will have a fiat gateway. And here is the thing.
Premium features gives you 0 fee trading.
It's an amazing fiat gateway.